Have you ever looked at people you've dated or married and thought, how the hell did I end up with them? Not just once, but all of a sudden you can see the similarities in your exes over and over again. Here is a hard truth that you need to hear, okay? It is the same cycle, different face, but the same ache in your chest, the same pit in your stomach, the same feelings of wound, of abandonment, of pain, that brokenness in your body. This is not random. It is not bad luck, and it's definitely not because you are broken. You're replaying the same damn story from your childhood on instant repeat. You date the parent or the person who hurt you first. And until you break that pattern, you will keep confusing pain for love because it's familiar. I'm Megan Webster. I'm an abuse recovery coach, a trauma-informed strategist, and the woman a narcissist hopes to never meet twice. This is the Narcissist Worst Nightmare podcast, and today we are going in on trauma, on love, parents, role models, patterns, and how to finally stop chasing pain and start choosing your peace. Let's go. You don't date who you want, you date what's familiar. Here's a soul punch. You don't date what makes the most sense. You date who your nervous system thinks feels like home. And for too many women, home was hell. If your childhood felt like walking on glass, if love came with conditions, if safety was inconsistent, if affection was earned and not given, then your body learned that love is pain and that love is chaos, and that love, that kind of love, is survival. So what happens? You grew up, you looked for someone that felt like home, and without realizing it, you pick someone who activates the same nervous system state that you've always known. Hypervigilance, anxiety, performance, proving, people-pleasing, walking on the wire just to feel chosen. You didn't choose your abuser consciously. Your trauma did. You didn't fall for the narcissist because you're weak. You fell because your nervous system trained you to find familiar pain and call it love. And that is not your fault. But breaking that is your responsibility. So this topic of conversation came up last week on a call inside of our membership, RRR. And what came out of it, there was 4 women on the call, and they all identified parts of their parents or their parents' relationship that actually looked identical or almost the same as their marriage. Now, most women inside of the membership right now are either separated or in the process of leaving. In the awareness alone, it was an insane thing to see. When you start connecting the dots from the pain of your past to where you are right now, this can also work while you're in the relationship. Right? Like, you don't actually have to be physically out. I was an example of that. I actively healed inside of my marriage, regardless of the abuse that was happening. But the common theme was, it wasn't something that my clients understood and knew in the moment. No one decides one day to wake up and choose a painful person to love for the rest of their life. But if that's been a pattern for you and you're not aware of it, you're going to keep doing it. And it'll be a different face, a different name, but a same outcome. I'm going to talk to you about my dad. I love my dad today. We have rebuilt a relationship that is beautiful, and I appreciate him wholly and completely. But both of my parents were broken people, and that's because they came from broken homes. So I grew up in a home that was unwell. Now, today, my dad and I do have a great connection, but my dad and my ex-husband are the same person. And it's very interesting to me that my dad can see that my ex-husband is an unwell person, but my dad can't see that in himself. I identified that my marriage was the exact same as my parents about 2.5 years ago with a psychiatrist. I said, I've already been through this. I've got that t-shirt. I was a child in the middle of my parents' divorce, and I'm now in the thick of it as the wife of this situation. And they didn't see where I was coming from in the moment, but I can pick out character traits. And I mean, a lot of people would call them flaws, not traits, but there were aspects of each of the marriages, my parents and my own, that if you swap the names of the people, it was literally the same story. This episode is going to teach you how to understand your own patterns. So whether you are in the relationship, you are trying to leave, or you've already left and you're trying to unpack all of this shit, this episode is going to help you find out what the actual pattern is and where it started. Because when we can do that, when we can go back to the beginning of it, that's when we start to heal. because your trauma, your triggers, and your awareness are keys that allow you to start your healing journey. It's usually not the marriage, the relationship, the narcissist, the abuser that you're experiencing right now that was the first time. It might be the first time that you have awareness around it. So I want to talk to you about what I call the parental mirror. This is how your childhood shapes your attraction. This is going to get super uncomfortable for some people. You don't date what's familiar. You date the parent or the person who left the deepest wound in you. If your father was absent, inconsistent, angry, emotionally unavailable, you'll often find yourself magnetized to emotionally withholding men. If your mother was controlling, manipulative, maybe it was a mental health crisis, you might find yourself in friendships and relationships where you're constantly silenced or criticized or made to feel small. You repeat this dynamic in adulthood, hoping to finally win a battle that was never yours to fight in the first place. But here's the thing, okay? You are not doing this consciously. You are not waking up tomorrow and saying, I choose pain on purpose. Your subconscious thinks that it can finally get this new person to love you the right way that the parent or the person that left the wound never did, so you can be healed. I talk about this a lot on social media. I don't believe in being healed. I think healing is a forever journey. But this idea is an ultimate setup for you. And narcissists will prey on that. They smell unresolved childhood trauma like blood in the water. They know how to mimic your unmet needs until you're hooked. They become everything that you need until they flip the table and they re-traumatize you even deeper than when the relationship started. I remember when I was explaining to my ex-husband when we were dating what had happened with my ex before him, who was a narcissist that was physically, emotionally, and financially abusive. The things that he said to me when I shared that were so reassuring that, that's not a man, and that's not how people behave, and that's not how love is and relationships work, and I trusted him. But less than 90 days later, he was ultimately the same person. Narcissists know how to keep you warm, not safe, but that illusion of safety, they are just mirroring back to you what you actually need in that moment. This is why healing, your healing, is not about leaving the narcissist. This is about going back to the original blueprint, the first heartache, the first betrayal, the first time that love was unsafe for you. There's a reason why your nervous system gets addicted to pain. And we talked about this on episode 2, but let's talk about your body. Healing isn't just intellectual, it's somatic. Your nervous system holds all of that original data, and it doesn't care if that person is good for you. It does care if it matches the early wiring of what happened to you. If the body learned that love equals high stress, emotional roller coaster, inconsistency, abandonment, and chaos, then peace is going to feel very boring to you. Safe love is going to feel false. Respect is going to feel suspicious. Consistency is going to feel like a trap. You will reject the good, and your body just craves that chaos because it is the adrenaline, the cortisone, the dopamine cocktail that comes in with toxic love. So I want to share this again. You're not crazy for wanting this person or this past relationship. You are chemically bonded to them. You are hooked on that feeling. This is the trauma bond before the actual trauma bond. And your nervous system just needs to be retrained. This is why traditional therapy alone doesn't cut it. I remember a therapist that I work with very briefly here in New Brunswick told me to protect my energy when I explained the abuse that was going on inside of my marriage. You do not need insight and a journal prompt. You need nervous system regulation. You need safety, and your safety needs a new pattern, because when you are a narcissist's worst nightmare, the whole goal of this podcast is for you to stop responding to the things that broke you. So how do you break that bond for good? How do you stop dating the same person and repeating the same cycle over and over again? It starts with a very radical, very sobering soul level awareness. Call out the pattern. This is literally what we're working on inside of RRR this month. Call out the pattern, not just in your last relationship. I want you to go back as far as your heart and your mind will allow you. What did love feel like for you growing up? Who did you have to become to feel loved? What parts of you were too much, too loud, too emotional, too needy? So how do we stop choosing the same person over and over again? We put your inner child back in the driver's seat. Here is a truth that most people are not willing to face. When you are choosing partners, responding to love, running back to the chaos, spiraling in your heartbreak, it is not the adult in you calling the shots. It is the scared little girl that's inside of you. The one who learned that love and pain were the same thing. The one who associated rejection with safety. The one who thought attention, even if it was violent, inconsistent, conditional, that was a form of love. She is not hypothetical. She is real. And she lives inside of your body, in your nervous system, in your gut instincts, your reactions, your attractions. She's driving all of this when you're triggered. She's the one spiraling when you get ghosted. The one texting him when your chest gets tight and your stomach drops. Because your trauma, not your brain, is the one making the decisions. And your trauma is faster than your logic. It bypasses the brain and it hijacks your body. That's why you say things like, I knew better and I still went back. Because you did know better. But your inner child didn't. And she's not just wounded. She is wired for survival. So let's fix that. We need to understand what's actually driving you. The addiction to the chaos and the pain and the drama. You are being run by unhealed survival patterns. Your inner child is trying to fix the original story, the one where she felt neglected, ignored, or unloved. She's trying to get her dad to stay this time, get her mom to love her, be enough for other people, make it safe by reliving the pain, hoping this time the ending is different. Because your nervous system is carrying around that emotional blueprint from your earliest caregivers. The next part is identifying the pattern. I want you to ask yourself, does love have to hurt to feel real? Do I chase people who reject or abandon me? Do I push away calm, peaceful, available love? If so, you are not choosing based on preference. You are choosing based off of pattern. It's what your body was conditioned to crave. And love doesn't feel like love to you until it hurts you first, because it's familiar. It lights up that same old panic, right? The goal of healing is not to stop the feeling. We don't need to make the inner child grow up. We need to reparent her. You don't heal by forcing her to get over it. You don't silence her. You give her space. You reparent. You become the safe person that she never had. And this means you hold her when she panics. You stay when she wants to abandon herself. You let her feel the ache without running back to the pain. You talk to her in the way that you wish someone talked to you. This isn't inner child work. This is where you reset your standard of how you're treated. This is how you start taking your power back. This is somatic. This is cellular. This is visceral. And until you can take charge and learn how to lead your inner child to safety, you will keep choosing men that match your earliest traumas. So every time you feel the urge to chase, the panic when it's calm, when you feel your stomach drop, when someone loves you right, you need to pause and say, I see you, and we are safe now. That is how you start to rewire. You get to redefine what love looks like for you. There's so many things that you can dig into when you're reconnecting with yourself. What does safety actually feel like in your body? Can you sit with the calm, or do you still want to try to escape it? Can I let peace feel like home instead of a bomb threat? You don't become the narcissist's worst nightmare by getting revenge. You become her when you stop needing their love to feel whole. When you stop chasing the high of being chosen, begging to be seen, betraying parts of yourself to be wanted, and you get to anchor back into your body, into safety, and become unshakable. The final piece that you need is to embody the person that she needed. You become the woman that doesn't run when it's quiet. You don't flinch when it's calm. You don't get high off of drama anymore. In fact, it doesn't even fucking interest you. The woman you become is so safe inside of herself that no man, no wound, no narcissist can touch this version of who she's become because you've broken the cycle. And we are not hating on the parts of you that helped you survive this. We are loving you louder than the trauma ever did. You didn't get here overnight. Healing will not be overnight either. But every time you say, I'm done, no more, every time you recognize a pattern, a red flag, and actually walk away, every time you soothe your own inner child instead of begging somebody else to do it for you, that you sit in stillness and let peace wash over you while you are rewiring and reprogramming everything to become the woman that you needed, the one who protects herself. You are becoming the narcissist's worst nightmare because you can no longer be controlled. You definitely can't be manipulated. You've baited out all of your childhood wounds. You are aware, you are awake, and you are not going back. If this episode cracked something open in you, good. If you saw your patterns clearer than ever, amazing. But if your body is screaming for a new way for her to live, to fully understand and connect with herself, to release what is no longer serving you, Reinvent, Rebuild, Redeem membership is not just a coaching program. It is a full-on recalibration of your nervous system, your identity, and your future. This is daily trauma-informed coaching from me. This is somatic work, a community of women that actually get it, and direct coaching and feedback for you to walk you from the breakdown to the breakthrough, through your protective patterns, to come back home to live a life of freedom. This is where you come to heal loudly. You don't need to wait another day to try to feel safe in your body and power in your story. If this episode hit something in you good, that means you are waking up. Share this with another woman who needs it. Subscribe. Send me a DM on Instagram. Tell me what landed for you. And most of all, keep on your path of becoming the narcissist's worst nightmare. I will see you in our next episode.